Hey everybody, welcome back. I've been thinking about something lately. It's this whole idea that English is like the super difficult language to learn, right? You always hear about it. And crazy spellings, right? Like it's just impossible.
Right.
But then you look around and like people all over the world speak it, right?
Yeah.
So what's the real deal? What's going on?
Right. That is the question, isn't it?
It is. So make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you are new here, and let us know in the comments, is it actually hard or easy? What do you think? What's your gut feeling?
Yeah, that's exactly what we're going to be digging into today, right? Like, why does English have this like reputation for being so difficult?
Yeah.
But also, like, are there things that are surprisingly easy about English?
Yeah.
And like, how can you actually like use what we talk about today to learn English more effectively?
Right. Yeah, because we were just looking at like what are the common things that trip people up?
Uh-huh.
And then also what are some of the things that might be surprisingly easier than you think? So we're going to be talking about all that good stuff, breaking down the tough stuff, shining some light on the easy parts, and then giving you guys some actual tips on how to overcome the real challenges.
Absolutely.
So if you are on your English learning adventure, if you're just curious about language stuff, make sure you are subscribed for more.
Definitely.
What do you want to get out of today's conversation? Let us know in the comments.
Okay.
All right, let's dive in. When people say English is hard, what are they talking about?
Well, I think like one of the first things that comes to mind for a lot of people is just like the whole spelling and pronunciation situation.
Oh, yeah.
Like English is notorious for not really following a predictable pattern in terms of how words are written and how they sound.
Oh, tell me about it.
And it's interesting because a lot of this actually comes from historical sound changes, like the Great Vowel Shift.
Yep.
Centuries ago.
Okay.
Where like pronunciation shifted, but the way things were spelled didn't necessarily change.
Oh.
So sometimes understanding that historical context can make it feel a little less arbitrary.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
They can still be really confusing.
Oh my gosh, yeah. You look at words like though, tough, and thought, right?
Yeah.
Same ending, but totally different sounds.
Totally.
And don't even get me started on kernel. It's like, why does it sound like kernel?
Yeah.
That's just crazy. Do you have any other examples where the spelling and the sound just, they don't match up? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one of the first things that causes a lot of like confusion and even frustration for English learners.
Yeah.
I think another thing that people kind of get tripped up on is this feeling that like for every rule in English, there's like a million exceptions.
Yeah.
Like I before E except after C.
Yeah.
But then you got like weird science.
It's like English just loves to trick you and make you think you're getting it and then just throw a curveball at you. Like nothing set in stone. It's just like 100 exceptions behind every rule just waiting to pounce. Oh boy. And then we have phrasal verbs.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. Phrasal verbs. Those can be really tricky.
I mean, it's like you take off your coat, but a plane can take off.
Mm-hmm.
You can take in information. You can have your clothes taken in.
Right.
If someone takes over, they're like gaining control.
Exactly. It's like that preposition can just add this whole new dimension of meaning to the verb.
It's like each word you tack on flips the meaning around. Do you guys have any phrasal verbs that trip you up? Let us know in the comments.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I've had my fair share of those.
Yeah, and then we can't forget about the like huge number of tenses in English, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like 12 major tenses can be super overwhelming.
Especially if your native language has a simpler tense system.
Yeah, it's like you need this whole timeline in your head to keep track of it all.
Right. You've got to think about like not just the time frame, but like the duration and completion of an action and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, and then there's something that maybe not everyone thinks about right away, but it plays a huge role.
Oh, yeah.
Word stress and intonation.
Oh, yeah.
Like the way you say a sentence can completely change what it means.
Exactly. Think about this sentence. I didn't say she stole my money.
Okay.
If you put the emphasis on didn't, it implies that you did something else.
Oh.
Like maybe thought it or something like that.
Yeah.
But if you stress she, it suggests that you suspect someone else.
Wow, yeah. Just the placement of that emphasis changes everything.
Totally.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments what's a sentence where you've noticed changing the stress can lead to a different understanding.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point.
So we've got the spelling, the exceptions, the phrasal verbs, the tenses, the stress. I mean, no wonder people say English is hard.
It's a lot to keep track of.
It is, but there's another side to the story.
Oh, absolutely.
So let's flip the script a little bit. Let's look at
Yes.
the other side of the coin.
Yeah, because contrary to popular belief, English actually has some surprisingly easy aspects to it as well.
Okay. Lay on me.
Well, let's start with something pretty fundamental.
Hmm.
The lack of gendered nouns.
Oh my gosh, yes, this is huge.
Yeah.
If you've ever tried to learn like Spanish or French,
Yeah.
you've got to remember, is this table masculine or is it feminine?
Right.
In English, a table is just a table, no L or la to worry about.
Exactly.
Such a relief.
It really simplifies things for learners.
Yeah, you don't have to memorize the grammatical gender for like every single noun.
And another area where English is surprisingly user-friendly is verb conjugation.
Yes. Compared to a lot of languages where those verb endings just change like crazy depending on who's doing the action and when, English is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
I mean, look at run in the present tense. I run, you run, we run, they run. It just stays the same for like most of the pronouns.
Exactly.
Just he, she gets a little S tacked on.
Yeah, you don't have these complex systems of endings to memorize for every verb and every tense.
Right.
So just forming those basic sentences becomes a lot less complicated.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And speaking of things being easier, let's talk about the sheer volume of free learning resources that are available for English learners.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Right.
The internet is exploding with podcasts, videos, apps, online courses, like you name it. There is so much out there, and a lot of it is totally free.
Yeah.
You can learn at your own pace. It's incredible.
And it's really accessible.
Yeah. Speaking of accessibility, we got to talk about the global reach of English, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like you hear it everywhere in music, in movies, in games, in sports, technology especially.
Yeah, you're probably absorbing it without even realizing it.
Right.
Just because so much like our popular culture and the digital world operates in English.
Okay, so this might sound a little contradictory after we just talked about all the grammar rules.
Oh, yeah.
But English sentence structure can actually be pretty flexible, especially in conversation.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
native speakers, we kind of bend the rules. Sometimes we even break them. And you can still understand what we mean.
Right, exactly. Like, while there's definitely a standard grammatical structure in real world communication,
Yeah.
a lot of it is about like conveying your message effectively.
Yeah.
And English allows for a lot of flexibility in how you put your sentences together.
Yeah, it's more about getting your meaning across than being perfectly grammatically correct.
Right. Have you ever noticed like native English speakers bending the rules but still being totally understandable?
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments.
All right, so we've seen both sides of the coin. We've seen why English can seem hard. We've seen why it can actually be surprisingly easy.
Yeah.
So let's dig into some of those like hidden challenges that people might not think about,
Okay.
but they actually run into, when they're learning English.
Yeah. And most importantly, like how you can overcome them.
Exactly. If you guys are finding this helpful so far, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more language deep dives.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what are some of those hidden challenges?
Well, I think one is grammar and sentence structure. While the basic subject verb object order is generally clear.
Yeah, like I eat pizza, she reads books, that kind of thing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But where things get a little more complicated is when learners try to directly apply the grammatical patterns of their native language to English.
Yeah, I think this is such a crucial point.
Yeah.
Because the way we think about putting sentences together is so shaped by our first language.
Yeah.
So when you try to do like a word for word translation, it can come out sounding really weird in English.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So how do you overcome that?
Yeah.
Well, the key is to actually practice thinking in English.
Okay.
So try to do things like self-talk throughout the day.
Okay.
Even if it's just simple things like describing what you're doing, like I'm making coffee, he is checking his email, they will arrive later.
Yeah.
That helps to like solidify those English sentence patterns in your mind.
So it's like you're building muscle memory for their language.
Exactly.
Okay, what else?
Another area that I think people often trip up on is modal verbs.
Modal verbs. Okay.
Things like can, could, should, would, might, must.
Oh, yeah. These are tricky.
They're all expressing these subtle shades of like possibility and ability, advice, obligation.
Yeah, it's like knowing when to use can versus could or should versus must.
Right.
It's all about those subtle nuances.
And I think the best way to learn them is through like practical daily life scenarios.
Okay.
So start asking yourself questions like, what could I do this weekend? Or what should I eat for dinner?
Yeah.
Make it personal. Make it relevant to your life.
Okay, can you think of a situation where you weren't sure which modal verb to use? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, there's definitely been a few of those.
Okay, and then we come back to pronunciation and spelling.
Oh, yeah.
The dynamic duo, the often frustrating duo.
It's definitely a hidden challenge that can really kind of knock people's confidence
Oh, yeah.
because it's like English spelling doesn't always give you a reliable clue as to how a word is actually pronounced.
Right. Right. So how do you work on
Yeah.
that?
Well, I think it's really important to shift your focus from just like solely relying on the written word
Okay.
to like actively listening and imitating sounds.
Okay. Are there any tools or anything that can help with that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. There are some great resources out there.
Okay. What are some of your favorites?
Well, apps like Youglish and LSA Speak are really valuable
Okay.
because they actually show you how words are pronounced in real world contexts by native speakers.
Oh, that's cool.
And then shadowing is another really powerful technique.
Shadowing. What's that?
So, shadowing is where you listen to like a video or a podcast
Okay.
and you actually try to repeat exactly what the speaker is saying,
Oh, wow. Okay.
mimicking their rhythm and intonation.
So you're like their shadow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then don't be afraid to record yourself speaking and then listen back critically to identify areas where you can refine your pronunciation.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So those are just a few ideas.
Okay, so now I want to talk about something that I think is really underestimated when it comes to learning a new language.
Oh, yeah.
The emotional side of things.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just about like grammar, drills, and vocabulary lists, right?
No, not at all.
It's about like feeling confident, feeling comfortable, feeling like you can actually open your mouth and speak.
Right. And sometimes what makes English feel hard isn't actually the language itself.
Yeah.
It's our own internal fears and anxieties surrounding the learning process.
Oh, I think everyone listening who's tried to learn a language has felt that.
Yeah.
It's that hesitation before you open your mouth, like, am I going to say this right?
Right. Are people going to judge me?
Am I going to sound stupid? What's your biggest emotional hurdle when it comes to learning English or any other language? Tell us in the comments.
Oh, yeah. I definitely have had my own struggles with that.
Yeah, it can be really tough. But you know what?
Yeah,
It's important to remember that everyone goes through it.
absolutely.
Even the most fluent speakers have felt those same feelings.
Yeah. And mistakes are inevitable.
Yeah.
They're actually beneficial. They help
Mhm.
you improve.
Right, you're not going to learn if you don't make mistakes.
And ultimately, building confidence is often more important than achieving like perfect grammar from day one.
That's so true. It's more about being able to communicate than sounding like a dictionary.
Right. Fluency isn't about speaking flawlessly. It's about being able to express your thoughts and your ideas, your needs clearly and confidently.
I love that. So, what are some things that we can do to actually make learning English feel easier, more manageable?
Yeah, let's create like a little action plan here.
Okay, I love it. Action plan. Hit that like button if you guys like action plans and make sure you subscribe for more.
Yeah. All right. So, one thing you could start doing is make a conscious effort to actually talk to yourself in English every day.
Okay,
I know that might sound a little weird,
talk to myself. Okay.
but it's surprisingly effective for building fluency and confidence.
Okay.
So, you could try like the mirror method,
Mirror method.
where you stand in front of a mirror and practice speaking about your day, your plans,
Okay.
or even just narrate your actions as you perform them.
Oh, so like I am making breakfast.
Exactly. Yeah. Or like, I'm going for a walk.
I am getting dressed.
Yeah. Just simple things like that can help you get comfortable with forming sentences and hearing yourself speak English.
Yeah, that's a really good way to practice without any pressure.
Right. Exactly. Another thing you can do is choose one specific grammar point to focus on each week.
Oh, okay. So don't try to learn everything at once. Just
Yeah.
pick one thing.
Yeah. So, like, week one, dedicate it to understanding and practicing the present perfect tense.
Okay.
Week two, modal verbs. Week three, conditional sentences, and so on.
Okay. So you're just breaking it down into chunks.
Exactly. Building your knowledge in these focused chunks can feel a lot less overwhelming.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like building a house brick by brick.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. What else?
All right, next. Actively immerse your environment in English.
Oh, yeah. Immerse yourself.
So change the language settings on your phone and computer to English.
Okay.
Switch the audio and subtitles on your favorite shows to English. And eventually try watching without the subtitles.
That's a good challenge.
Yeah. Follow English speaking content creators on social media.
Okay.
And try to read short articles or stories in English each day.
So just surround yourself with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and your brain just starts picking it up without even trying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you incorporated any immersion techniques into your learning?
Yeah.
What has been most effective for you? Share your tips in the comments.
Yeah, I'm curious to know what you guys do for immersion.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so next.
Make smart use of native level learning tools.
Okay, native level tools.
So we talked about a couple earlier, like ELSA Speak
Yeah.
for pronunciation feedback, Grammarly for
Yeah.
grammar checking.
Mm-hmm.
Anki is a great tool for building vocabulary through spaced repetition.
Okay.
Websites like Youglish show you real-world examples of how words and phrases are used in videos.
Oh, cool.
Platforms like BBC Learning English offer a wealth of free lessons and resources.
Okay, so many good resources out there.
Yeah, it can almost feel overwhelming, but in a good way.
It is. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else? What's the last tip?
All right, so lastly, cultivate a shift in your mindset.
Mindset. Okay.
Start thinking of yourself as someone who speaks English, even if you're still learning.
I love this.
Instead of constantly saying, I'm learning English,
Mm-hmm.
try affirming to yourself, I speak English and I'm improving every day.
Oh, that's so powerful.
Yeah, this subtle change in perspective can have a huge impact on your confidence and motivation.
Yeah, because it's about owning that identity as an English speaker, even from the beginning.
Exactly.
All right, so we talked about all these things that can make English feel confusing, right?
Yeah.
The rules, the borrowed words, the phrasal verbs, the way stress and tone can change the meaning of things. But as we've been talking about, with the right approach, with the right strategies, these are all patterns that you can learn.
Absolutely, and you can master them over time.
Yeah, and it's okay to make mistakes.
Yes.
That's how we learn.
It's so important to remember that confidence and consistent practice without the pressure of perfection
Right.
are key.
Embrace the imperfections.
Yeah, they're part of the journey.
They are. Think about like little ways that you can weave English into your daily routine.
Oh, yeah.
You know, just like small, manageable ways.
Right.
You could try narrating your actions in English as you go about your day, asking yourself simple daily questions in English,
Uh-huh.
using sticky notes with English words to label things around your house,
Yeah.
turning your chores into English practice time.
I love that.
You know, just think or speak in English while you're doing them.
Yeah, those little efforts really do add up over time.
Yeah, they do.
And remember, English grammar doesn't have to be this like scary abstract thing.
Yeah,
It
right.
can make it more accessible by focusing on real-world examples,
Arr.
connecting grammatical structures to storytelling,
Oh, that's interesting.
thinking about how different tenses help to tell a narrative,
Oh, yeah.
and using practical techniques like shadowing and keeping a journal in English.
Okay, so what about accents? I know this is something that a lot of people get really hung up on.
Oh, yeah, the accent trap.
They want to have that perfect native-like accent.
Yeah, it's a really common concern.
It is.
I think a lot of learners put so much pressure on themselves to sound exactly like a native speaker.
Yeah.
And it can be helpful to understand why English pronunciation can feel unpredictable.
Yeah, why is that?
It's really a result of its diverse historical influences and sound changes.
Oh, okay.
But I think the most effective way to improve your pronunciation is through consistent active listening.
Okay.
Pay attention to how native speakers articulate words and sounds.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think the important thing to remember is that clear and effective communication is the primary goal,
Right.
not necessarily achieving like a flawless accent.
Right. It's more about being understood.
Exactly. What's one aspect of English pronunciation that you find particularly challenging to master?
Yeah. Let us know in the comments.
I'm curious to know what you guys think.
Okay, so lastly, I want to talk about just learning in general.
Okay?
Like, how do we actually learn effectively? Because I think traditional passive learning. Yeah.
Where you're just like memorizing vocabulary lists, studying grammar rules in isolation.
Right.
That's not always the most efficient way.
No, it's not very engaging for your brain.
Right. So what's a better way?
Well, a more engaging and brain-friendly approach is to actually, like, immerse yourself
Yeah.
and use the language.
So actually speak it and write it.
Exactly. So
Right.
a balanced approach that prioritizes both input,
Listening and reading.
Yeah.
And output.
speaking, and writing will lead
Right.
to faster and more natural progress.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Oh.
So to sum it all up, English, it's got its challenges,
Uh-huh.
but it also has a lot of advantages.
Absolutely.
And there are so many resources available to help you.
Yeah, and the key is to be strategic and active in your approach to learning.
Yeah, be proactive. Right.
Exactly. And it's not inherently a hard language.
Right.
But it might require a different mindset and learning techniques than you're used to.
Yeah, think of it like learning a new skill, like playing an instrument.
Or learning to code, it gets easier with practice.
Exactly.
And guys, remember this, the world doesn't need you to speak perfect English.
That's so true.
What it needs is your perspective, your
Mm.
ideas, your personality, your energy, your voice.
I love that.
So speak up, practice lots.
Yeah, be enthusiastic about it.
And keep going, because you're not just learning a language, you're becoming a better communicator.
Beautifully said. And here's a final thought to ponder.
Okay.
How might consciously shifting your focus from like this abstract goal of learning English
Yeah.
to the more concrete practice of using English in your everyday life.
Okay.
How might that change your whole learning experience?
That is a great question to think about. And that is all the time we have for today's episode. We
Wow.
hope you guys found this helpful.
Yeah.
Give it a thumbs up if you did, and leave a comment sharing your biggest takeaway from today's conversation.
Yeah, what resonated with you the most?
And if you're new here, make sure you subscribe for more language deep dives.
Like,
We'd love to hear from you guys. What other language learning topics would you like us to explore?
yeah, tell us in the comments.
Let us know.
Yeah.
And we will see you in the next one. Make sure to subscribe.
Bye, everyone.